Are you worried at all, though, that the Bears could – they're talking about it being wild because they know they could make it wild, and that Ryan Poles has never been shy about making it wild with various draft day trades, various trades before the draft. He goes up, he goes back. He had to be talked out of going up for Rome Odunze. Could they fall for some of the smoke and go, oh, no, we got to get Genty? And could they trade up for him? This is Poles talking about how it could be. You know, a lot of people have looked at this draft because it's not quarterback heavy as being something boring. But Poles painted a picture, and I've heard this from Breer and some of the other people, that it could get very, very interesting. This was Ryan Poles at Hallis Hall today. Waddle was there, and he talked to Ryan a little bit on how they have prepared for this draft and some of the action that they can anticipate.
I feel really confident where we're at. I think this one's going to be a little wild, but we're going to be prepared for all the different scenarios that pop up. The time working with Ben throughout this has been great. Some really good communication, some great discussions as we set the board and get prepared for the draft in a couple of days. I'll open it up.
What makes you say that about it? You think this draft in particular is going to be wild? What specifically are you thinking of when you say that?
Yeah, I think it's deeper in certain areas than others. Usually the cutoff is a little bit quicker. I think once you kind of get into 2, 3, and this one's going to be a little bit different. So I think there's going to be a lot more movement than there has been in the past.
So he thinks more movement, even though there's not been a trade yet with a first-round pick, but that there will be a lot of movement.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put any money on it. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if there were some weird quarterback decisions made because the position is so important. Like if somebody's going to move forward and surprise you, whether it would be a 9 with the Saints.
I hope so. That would be great.
Absolutely. I think even Ian Cunningham or Ryan, one of them said today in some reference about more quarterbacks better because it would push better players. I think it was Ian saying the one thing I can tell you is we're not going to draft a quarterback this year. So the more quarterbacks, the better for us because it'll push better players to us.
Yeah, this was Cunningham about it getting wild, too, reiterating Poles' point.
Ryan said he thinks it could get wild. A first-round pick hasn't been traded yet. Do you guys have a real sense that things are going to start popping?
It could get wild, Brad. It could get wild. Sit back and watch. I mean, we have no feel right now. We'll see.
So we have no feel, and he's talking not about what their plans are, but to what the league is going to do.
Yeah.
On who likes what. Like you hear all these rumors. Is Jacksonville ready to trade out of the pick? Are they ready to take maybe Genty? Or who are they going? Are they going to pass Mason Graham? What are they going to do? So I think that's a key part of the draft.
Jacksonville usually screws it up. So expect them to do something, weird. I think, Jack, you were saying if they drafted Genty, it would be the third running back they've drafted in the first round in 8 years.
Yeah, because they took Fournette in 2017, and then they drafted Travis Etienne just a couple of years ago.
Right.
Are you worried at all, though, that the Bears could – they're talking about it being wild because they know they could make it wild, and that Ryan Poles has never been shy about making it wild with various draft day trades, various trades before the draft. He goes up, he goes back. He had to be talked out of going up for Rome Odunze. Like if you hear what Shefty said yesterday in his mailbag, or I think it was he emptied out his notebook, he said that the Bears are praying that Genty gets to them at 10. Could they fall for some of the smoke and go, oh no, we got to get Genty? And could they trade up for him?
I hope that if that's the case, Ian Cunningham does what he did last year and reaches for Ryan's arm and keeps it away from a phone and says, let it come to you, the way they did with Rome. Because if you believe, I think it was Hard Knocks, right? Where we found out, was it?
It's the 1920 football drive.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. When he was chewing the gum, chewing the gum. And he was very nervous, and they were watching Neighbors when Neighbors would get picked. What would I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. I think look, I don't think I would describe Ryan as reckless, but he's aggressive. So I wouldn't rule that out. It's just not the path I would choose. I'm not giving up currency for a running back. If you draft Genty at 10, Fine, I'll ride with you, Ben Johnson. But I don't want to give up any currency to move up for him. I just don't.
Here's more. Carmen thought this was just, you tell me what you thought. Carmen thought that this 15-second bite from Poles is standard football talk, basically just saying anything could happen, is what he's saying. Or is he hinting that, yes, they're interested in moving back? Take a listen to this.
There's a large pool of very good football players. And then I think you can do some different things to get more players that are going to be able to come in and help your team quickly.
Did that mean anything? Was he saying you could get more football players by going back down?
Can you play it again?
Or is he just trying to, as Yurko said, awkwardly bide his time to get off the clock and get off the podium and didn't tell you a thing there?
There's a large pool.
So he's talking about how large is the pool. The question was, how large of a pool could there be for them at 10? Like, that they like.
Okay, so how many options that are
10,
appealing to you at 10?
At 10,
okay.
and then he says this.
There's a large pool of very good football players. And then I think you can do some different things to get more players that are going to be able to come in and help your team quickly.
I thought he said at the end there that we can select from this pool that we like at 10, or we can add more players by trading back.
Yeah, I mean,
that's or is he saying nothing?
No, I interpreted it the same way. That like, look, there's going to be if we don't like whatever's left in the pool, you know what? Maybe we'll move back. Now, again, I think the big question is whether or not you can find a dance partner who wants to move up.
Yeah,
I'm sure there will be somebody. Will there be 5 teams? Probably not. But I'm sure there will be somebody. Somebody always appears that wants to do something silly. So
just hope it's not the Bears. Here's Paul. This is the newsy stuff. This is a Joe Tuni extension. You'll hear the question and then Poles' answer.
When you trade for Joe Tuni, it's obviously a big move. Is it safe to say you're hoping to have him here for more than 1 year? Would he be next in line for an extension?
Yeah, that's definitely, I would say, one of the priorities moving forward.
So we've asked why no Joe Tuni extension yet. They've done Edwards and they've done Gordon, but we haven't had anything from Tuni. So you hear they're not saying we're going to wait and see. I think they even were pretty forward about that last year, weren't they? With Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
he was basically saying that no, we're gonna
wait and see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. And you saw what happened, but he pretty much told you that. It sounds to me like this is going to get done.
I don't think you trade for Joe Tuni and not sign him to a contract extension. I think I would. That would be
tell
surprising.
The Cubs that.
Yeah, well,
I mean, tell the Cubs that. That's even worse.
You tell the Cubs that.
I
You're
know.
more dialed in than I am for them. I find it that would be something that would surprise me greatly, borderline shock me.
All right, and then he was asked too about Darnell Wright playing left tackle. We know there are tackles available. There are a lot of right tackles instead of left tackles, including Membu. Could they take Membu or another right tackle and move Darnell Wright to left?
Yeah, I think that's a conversation. We'll see how everything goes. He clearly has the ability to play left and right. We saw that in college. That was part of the value in taking Darnell. So if he had to play left, I think he'd play left. And obviously, I think we're all excited about his stuff to go right.
This was the biggest news nugget of today's, I think, Ian Cunningham, Ryan Poles press conference. Because to me, I would have never even thought about that. I thought, look, you drafted him with, what was it, the 10th pick?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, 2 years ago. If you feel really good about him and being a foundation piece on that right side for you for years to come, you're not going to move him. The willingness to move him from the right side to the left side, and we all knew he played both positions at Tennessee. I didn't even consider it. I thought they're just going to leave him there. That opens the door to a number of things. First thing that comes to my mind is if Membu is available at 10, he's on your board. I run to the podium because he's been exclusively a right tackle at Iowa or at Missouri. I thought he was great on tape. I mean, I could take it a step further and again just play the hypothetical. If you don't go offensive tackle, does that mean maybe they think, and if Braxton Jones isn't available to go, are they open to playing Amagaji at right tackle? And
they better not be. I know you've
right
said
on
that
left tackle.
And I've said this a few times. Err on the side of caution. You cannot slot Amagaji in to start. You can't. And then all of a sudden in September say, oh, no, we didn't do enough like we didn't do enough last year in the interior. Oh, we think we've got depth. We think we've got guys. We've got Braxton here. We've got Amagaji here. We've got Darnell Wright here. We've got, you don't have enough. And you can't rely on a developmental third rounder who barely got experience in year one to slide in to start in year two.
You don't have to sell me a 10 I'm taking tackle, whether it's Banks or it's Campbell or maybe Membo. I'm just saying,
that to me would be the most egregious mistake. That you go all the way you went with Jonah Jackson, with Tuni, and with Dahlman, and put all that money in.
Why would he not tell you then that we're good with Darnell at right tackle? He's shown promise.
Because
he's played
they want
well.
to draft one. I don't think they want to slide anybody over. I sure hope. Then you're moving two guys, and you're not really.
Well, you're not really moving Amagaji because he never got set anywhere.
I know, but he was never supposed to be your right tackle.
Look, I don't know where Amagaji fits anyway. I'm just saying with this new staff and with this new development that they would be willing to move Darnell Wright, nothing would surprise me.
I'm just saying that if I'm not ruling out that Amagaji can eventually become a player. But surprise us on that side.
Sure.
This should not be an assumed thing. Err on the side that you don't have enough yet.
Well, that's regardless whether you try him at left tackle because Braxton Jones isn't available or right tackle.
You can't go into camp thinking that Braxton Jones coming off an injury and Amagaji coming off a developmental year can be a solution at left. 2 doesn't equal 1, especially when one's coming off of the injury, and he hasn't been great to begin with.
The reason my mind is open, and it's not a suggestion. It's just I'm nothing would surprise me is their new online coach, and he's not gonna step to the podium and go, this guy sucks.
Right.
You're always gonna speak of your guys in a positive manner. Don't know how he feels about the kid. We may get to mini camp, and maybe Amagaji's taking some snaps. I don't know where he's going to take snaps.
Yeah, well,
no idea.
Have him take snaps, but have him take snaps with a true solution. And then if he surprises you and you're forced to play him earlier than you think, fine.
The element of surprise is on the table for me because I don't know what direction these guys are going.
Here's the trade-up possibility. This was Ian Cunningham talking about what would make the Bears trade up.
It depends. It depends what the cost is, who the player is, the value, all those sorts of things. We're weighing those right now, but we'll see. We'll see come draft night.
Is that just executive speak, or is that sound like a team that could be interested in moving up?
I think moving up is a possibility with this group.
Yeah,
I just do. The only guy I told you, I'm the general manager of this fantasy football team in my brain. That's all I'm a general manager of. I have a fantasy football team in my brain, and I'm the general manager. I'm not moving up for anyone other than Abdul Carter if I'm 100% convinced he's got no medical issues at all. Because if he is a pass rusher in the image of someone like Micah Parsons or one of these difference-making edge players, then that would be the only player for me that would be worth giving currency to move up.
I think you're right when you talk about the scouting report on this staff, because the one flaw among a few flaws with Ryan Poles has been when he loves you, he is
You're
really
getting flowers
convicted.
and chocolates.
Yeah, you are he is not moving off of you. He fell in love with Velus. Not only did he make the mistake and he drafted him, he kept him for 2 more years when he clearly showed you he wasn't an NFL player, and he bypassed a trade. Bates, he signed him to an offer sheet a few years back, could not get him, so he traded a 5th-round pick for him. Like, there have been a lot of these guys. Rome, got to have Rome. Should I go up for Rome? And had to be talked out of that. When he grabs a hold of something, he told us about Claypool. We loved Claypool coming out of Notre Dame. few years later, let's make the trade with Pittsburgh. Let's get him now. We got the chance to get him. So if they have fallen in love with Genti and they find out that they can only go up for Genti, I'm with you. I would not be shocked if they go up.
What would you do